Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Chrome Tour golf ball from Callaway.
Regarding Rory, aside from accomplishing seemingly all of his primary goals for 2025, including moving into the new family home just outside of London, Rex, let's start with you. Do you expect that the Rory we'll see in the near future is the uber-focused Rory or the Rory that's smelling more of the roses?
I think it'll be the uber-focused Rory with the right events. I think none of us really knew what to expect after he completed the career Grand Slam at Augusta National. He called it a career highlight, and it's kind of tough. We've seen it before where players get to the top of the mountain and you wonder, was this it? Did I work my entire life just to do this? And so there was kind of a question mark for Rory going into the rest of the season. And we all kind of knew the Ryder Cup, if anything, was going to get him motivated, in the emotion, in the drive. And the quality of play that we saw at Bethpage proves that under the right circumstances, he will still come to the table. Now, how many of those events are we going to see out of him a year? That's the big question mark. Obviously, it's going to be the 4 major championships. You would think the Players' Championship, the Ryder Cup is going to be on that list. But you would wonder how often this is going to come up, but I don't think anybody should question his motivation when he has these events to look forward to.
Yeah, and Rex, there's still a couple of carrots that are left out there dangling for Rory McIlroy, whether it's the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, the Olympics in 2028. But I think it's pretty clear, and Rory has made obvious, that now is the time to reassess and reprioritize. And it might be cringeworthy for the folks at PGA Tour HQ about 15 minutes from me, but Rory has made pretty clear that PGA Tour events are not a huge priority for him. Look at what happened in 2025. He already skipped 3 signature events. He skipped a FedEx Cup playoff event. He's spoken about his appreciation for national opens. He's talked about his desire for a global tour for the elite level. He's mentioned late career Roger Federer and how Fed back in the day would want to visit places that other fans had not seen him before, and that would bring him sort of a level of joy he couldn't experience week to week out on the tennis circuit. And so certainly Rory might run the risk of regular season complacency, but I still think there's enough carrots dangling out there for him, and he is going to know specifically, personally, what can spark his interest.
And Lav, to your point, we all know that Rory is a deep thinker, and if he gets into that kind of transcendental meditation, staring at the dancing embers and the fires, he'll have more opportunities to do that in the home outside of London in the coming months. Now, we did get some news about Tiger that he has undergone yet another major back surgery. It broke this week. In fact, he broke the news. That Tiger injury, when we're talking about that or surgery, when it gets to this level, gents, Lav, let's stay with you on this one. Are we at a point where we're past surprise? I mean, has hope replaced any other reasonable expectations?
Yeah, I think surprise has been replaced by sadness, if we're being honest here. And you look at the statement that Tiger Woods put out. He did not mention his golf. He mentioned making a good decision for his health and for his back, not mentioning golf when he's about to turn 50, when he's already now undergone 7 back surgeries, when the total number of surgeries has eclipsed a dozen. Obviously, the concern long-term for his back, that's fused. Concern long-term for his ankle, that's fused. And so there is a bit of a tinge of sadness here because sports careers rarely end pretty. I do think, though, Rex, that there's still so much that Tiger Woods can do. The Ryder Cup captaincy is lingering out there in 2027. He's a part of the leadership committee with the PGA Tour, trying to get the competition model right under Brian Rolap's leadership. And so, golf-wise, I think anything else might be a bonus, but I think there's still a big seat at the table for him to make some pretty significant changes and really be a leader in that respect.
I think what you talk about when it's Tiger Woods, and all of those points are valid, Lav. I think the idea, though, is in December he will turn 50 years old. We have not seen him play in a 72-hole official PGA Tour event in nearly 15 months. So I guess my interest, if we're trying to look ahead into the crystal ball, trying to figure out when he might play again, is less about PGA Tour events and maybe PGA Tour Champions events next year, considering what his schedule might be. Now, you read, and I've read some of the analysis over the last few days about, in theory, he could have healed up enough to play the PNC Championship in December with his son. He could have healed up enough to actually play the Hero World Challenge, his event, which is an unofficial event in the Bahamas. It's in that 6 to 8 week window that recovery is talked about. Maybe the bigger issue there is it's more than 8 months since he had the Achilles repaired. So certainly you would think his health could have come around by then. But I'm with you. I'm more curious to see, instead of where he goes with his competitive game and his golf game, and where he goes with his personal and professional life. Because you're right, the Ryder Cup captaincy is sitting there waiting for him to decide one way or the other. Will he be the captain of the U.S. team in 2 years in Ireland? And all of the other things that he's involved with the PGA Tour. He's very busy, so I think he's less concerned right now about playing and more concerned about all of these other things.
It's an interesting observation by both of you in terms of where does Tiger fit in the game right now. We saw Jack Nicklaus back in the day step away on the business side. Greg Norman, shortly after he was world number one, did the same thing. But in Tiger's case, it seems as though are these other leadership roles with the PGA Tour, starting the TGL, et cetera, et cetera. Can he recover and assume those leadership positions and still move some very important questions forward? Remains to be seen. Lav, let me jump back to you for a second. Xander Schauffele. He won this past week, and he notched his 10th tour victory in doing it. He became only the 119th player all time to reach such a milestone. But look at his performance in these key stat areas on the week where he absolutely crushed his averages for the year. It's incredible. So the question is this. Did we see a flash of the Xander we knew, or is he in fact back?
I don't know if he's in fact back. Winning the Baycurrent championship is not quite on the level of winning a signature event or a major championship. But it is interesting, though, Maddie, because you listen to Xander Schauffele after the BMW championship, and he failed to qualify for the Tour championship for the first time since he has been a card-carrying member of the PGA Tour. It sounded like he wanted the 2025 season to end. However, you look at how he played at the Ryder Cup and now how he played in Japan, it certainly seems like he's figured something out. Go back to the Ryder Cup. He was the leading points earner for that U.S. team at Bethpage Black. Played some really good golf under intense, high-pressure situations. That obviously gave him a lot of confidence that he used last week in Japan. I'm chalking 2025 up to a statistical aberration. 86 strokes gained off the tee, 130th on the greens. That is very un-Xander Schauffele-like, something he has not done since he has crashed on the PGA Tour back in 2017. You look at what he did, statistically in 2024, just a year earlier, he was top 45 in every major statistical category. You could make the argument that it's Xander Schauffele, not Scottie Scheffler, who's actually the most well-rounded, most complete player on the PGA Tour. I'd be stunned if he does not have a bounce back in 2026. He now has essentially 3 months off to get his swing sorted once again with swing coach Chris Como, get his putting back on track. I think the arrow is pointed back upward for Xander Schauffele.
Maddie, he sounds like a guy, Lavner, who has picked Xander Schauffele to be the player of the year, I think, for the last 3 years. So he's looking for another excuse to pick him again going into next season. I will say it's fascinating to me watching Xander this season because it's sort of the impacts of an injury in real time. You're right. If you look at statistically, he fell off dramatically in every major category. The one that stands out, though, is putting. You said it, 130th strokes gained putting. At the Baycurrent, he was tied for 17th in total punts. I think that's a turn in the right direction. He played solid in the playoffs, finished the season, regular season well at the Scottish Open and the Open Championship. And to your point, I would argue he was one of the Americans' only bright spots at Bethpage during the Ryder Cup. He was one of just 3 players who finished with a winning record. So I think all of this bodes well going into next season. And my guess would be the one thing that seemed to hold him back the most, the putting, is coming around, and that gives him a lot of confidence.